Hi, this is Ren.
And this is Casey.
This is All Walks of Film.
And we're recording in the car.
Yeah, so I apologize for any background noise or anything like that in our mobile studio.
Well, today we're going to be talking about the interview and sort of everything surrounding the interview.
Yeah, and was the film worth all the hype? So, the interview was a movie written by Seth Rogan, and I forget what the name of the actual director is of the movie, but they worked on This Is the End, and Seth Rogan and James Franco have been good friends for a long time. This Is the End had a lot of clout to it, so they decided to do something along the same vein, except they were going to tackle North Korea this time. And instead of them playing themselves, they were playing a version sort of themselves, except for James Franco, and an assassination attempt on Kim Jung Un.
Right. And so, obviously this exploded all over everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there was talks that the movie wasn't even going to come out.
Well, yeah, so there was the threat on any movie theater planning on showing the film.
Yes.
And,
it was like something like, remember the September 11th, something or other, and, they call themselves the Guardians of Peace.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because, GOP, so it almost sounds like our fucking government did it, but their English was so bad that it was obviously North Korea.
Yeah, and the North Korean government came out saying that they were not affiliated with them.
Yeah, well, we don't know if it exactly was North Korea. I do believe that it actually came out recently that it was like a disgruntled employee or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Which, makes more sense, but... Yeah.
Well, when the original threat came out, Sony said that Sony didn't even say this. A lot of movie theaters said they weren't going to show it. Pretty much every major movie theater chain said they were not going to show this movie. And then Sony pulled it because, which a lot of people give Sony shit for, and I will stand up for Sony.
Even the president gave Sony shit for it.
Yeah, but I have to say, there have been a lot of shit that's gone down in movie theaters, and Sony is directly responsible for all the employees and
there's been
moviegoers.
A lot of shit that goes on in movie theaters.
No,
there
has been serious shit that's gone down in movie theaters. Serious shit. So, I get the fact that they were trying to be preventative, and, in their defense, they did turn around in 3 days from pulling it all together to, well, we will have it in select theaters that will let us show it, and we're going to release it on these platforms.
Yeah, they released on VOD, and I believe... Do you remember the first places they released it? It was
they released it on...
Xbox, surprisingly, which isn't Sony. Yeah, the Xbox. PlayStation got it last, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, but I do commend Sony for not being stubborn about it and turning around and getting it published really quickly. 3 days is nothing.
Yeah, we were kind of afraid that it was going to get thrown in the vault and kind of pushed to the side, and it's kind of like one of those movies that you can find every once in a while, but it's like some bootleg at some convention that you go to.
Right.
And I've seen that with films like Serbian Film and other films that, certain things about them have, made it so that you can't, get access to it, and, you can't go to the store and get it. Same thing with Song of the South. Right.
But, people give Sony a lot of shit, and I give Paramount Studios a lot of shit, because when the interview wasn't going to come out, certain theaters, including the Alamo Drafthouse, woohoo, go Texas, were going to show Team America World Police instead, and they were going to have
and Team America World Police portrayed Kim Jung Un's father,
right.
Kim Jong Il,
right,
in a not so positive light. It was actually kind of funny though.
Right, but the whole thing was a satire. That seemed to be kind of what the interview was going for. But they were going to have showings with, like, American paraphernalia, and people could, like, do sing-alongs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it was going to be a whole, like, free speech thing.
I would love to go to a sing-along of Team America World Police, because I actually know all the songs.
Right, but you can't do that because Paramount Studios said, no, you can't take our widely distributed film that's been out for 10 years and show it in your movie theater as a political act. You can't do that.
Yeah,
so I'm going to call them the real pussies in this situation. Rather than Sony.
So wait. So they were the pussies. The Guardians of Peace were the dicks. And the movie was the asshole? I'm just trying... I don't know.
Back to the interview. So we were
the
actually...
lesser movie.
Right. I definitely agree with that. We were actually able to see it on Christmas Day in a movie theater, and we put down money and bought a ticket.
Yeah, we went to the Georgetown Theater in Indianapolis.
Well, yeah, and actually back up a little bit. We also signed a petition on Change.org to actually help get it released.
Yeah,
we both did, and then we went and we put our money down and actually went and saw the film.
Yeah, for freedom.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
Yeah. It's America. You can just say freedom.
Freedom!
No, I'm just kidding.
You were more favorable towards this movie than I was. I put it on my top 5 disappointments of the year.
See,
I know it didn't do that
at the same time, I kind of knew what I was getting into when I saw the movie.
Right.
I was expecting like a dumb stoner comedy.
Well, so was I too. Here's the thing, I went in with the same expectations. The movie led me on to believe I was going to be better than that, and then didn't follow through. But when I was going into it, that's all I expected.
Yeah.
And it was worse than my expectations.
It was exactly what my expectations were. There wasn't a big surprise.
Right. So talk about your feelings a little bit.
All right. Well, the film starts off really strong. There's
really strong. Best part of the movie, though.
Yeah.
Best part of the movie is the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. This little girl sings this like really fucked up song about how North Korea's the best country in the world, and like, you know, we hate the capitalist pigs in America. I hope their women get like raped by wild beasts and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was like really fucked up. And then they like launch a missile towards the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's something that North Korea has done a lot of, sort of. They like aim missiles towards the United States, but they don't actually reach the United States. And they call them satellite tests. If you're familiar with anything in the news, like back in like 2011, they did shit like that. And, oh my god, I was in the Navy and it just pissed me off.
But it was funny because like the little girl was like maybe 8, and it was like the song that sounded like kind of like an anthem, and it was this big ceremonial thing. So it was almost like the Olympics.
Yeah.
And there's this little girl on stage with like this dress talking about, you know, I hope the women of America get raped in the jungle and while their children watch. That would fill my tiny heart with joy.
Yeah. I honestly think if the movie had kept with that humor, it would have...
Right, which is exactly what I'm saying. Like, the first 10 minutes are so strong that it makes the rest of the movie seem worse than it probably would have.
Yeah, but I dare you to find a comedy that's as daring as Dr. Strangelove.
Right, I mean, that's true, but that's not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't even expecting Team America World Police. I wasn't.
Which, Dr. Strangelove is a movie that I don't think would even be allowed to be made today.
No, I don't think so either. But, on to the next scene, we're introduced to James Franco, who's like this talk show host. And he has an interview with Eminem.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
actually
what, Skyline
Eminem.
Or something?
Yeah, Dave Schuyler or something like
Schuyler,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, Dave Schuyler. And he has an interview with Eminem, and it's actually Eminem. And Eminem just like randomly throws out, "Oh, I'm gay."
Yeah.
The reason why I say stuff that sounds homophobic is because I'm actually gay. And that was the funny, like, that was a really hilarious part of the movie, and it was a good satire.
I like men.
Yeah, I like men.
What
Hector's rectum is real, or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. But it was a good satire of, sensationalized media today, and it was legitimately hilarious. It was very funny.
Right.
Very, very funny. And then they just never really had humor like either of those scenes again for the rest of the movie.
I don't know, man. When they went to North Korea, it was still kind of funny, though.
When they first went, yeah, but, like, this was a movie where, like, it started off great, and it was fine for a little bit, but, like, it was just steadily on the downslope quality-wise. So, like, by the end of the movie, I had just entirely checked out.
I disagree with you. I enjoyed the movie. Is it a masterpiece? No.
Well, no, and again, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be. That's not when I signed a petition to get released. It was for whatever it was, but...
Well, I mean, even Seth Rogan himself said, like, when the film was possibly not going to be released, he was like, really? I just thought we made a dumb stoner movie. Sorry, that was a really terrible impression of Seth Rogan, but,
Yeah, and I actually did like Seth Rogan in the movie.
Yeah.
I liked him throughout the movie. James Franco was too hammy.
Yeah, this same team is working on the Preacher adaptation for AMC.
Right.
So I'm a little skeptical just because, like, Preacher is...
We know that James Franco is a serious guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I actually, like, really enjoy him in comedic roles like Spring Breakers.
Or his character was hilarious on 30 Rock. He played James Franco like he was just himself, but he was in love with his Japanese body pillow, and he had to date one of the girls on the show to be like his beard, because, like, he didn't want the world to know he was in love with his Japanese body pillow, so he had to pretend to have, like, a living girlfriend. And just, like, it sounds weird, but James Franco pulled it off, and it was super funny. It's just like, the love between me and Yumiko is super strong. It was so funny.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds pretty funny.
But, I mean, by the end of the movie, they were repeating, like, the same jokes over and over and over again.
I don't know, like, you got more annoyed at that than me, because, like...
Okay, the Katy Perry song is obnoxious enough as it is. We've already heard it a million times in the trailers. And then you had to play it, like, 5 times in your freaking movie.
Well, that was, like, kind of a joke, too. Like, the movie was making fun of the Katy Perry song.
No, I know, but it was so repetitive. It was so repetitive. You didn't need to be that redundant. Come on.
In the movie, James Franco's character forms a bond with Kim Jung Un, and there comes a point where he really thinks that Kim Jung Un isn't that bad of a guy, and America's just making him out to be something way worse than he actually is.
Right.
There are a couple moments that change that for him, almost, when, like, Kim Jung Un has, like, these scary fucking moments where he just, like, freaks out for no fucking reason.
Right.
Almost. And, from my understanding of the type of person Kim Jong Un is, that seems to be totally possible.
Right.
Yeah. Even though you look at the real guy and, like, he looks like a fucking teddy bear.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of my other big issue with this movie. Not enough of the hot Korean chicks in lingerie or naked. There's like 0.5 seconds of boobs and then they're gone.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like they're just saving all that shit for the unrated version.
Yeah, because, like, Korean chicks are sexy, and they were hot, and they were, like, limboing, which I never understood how that was hot until I saw that scene, and I was like, oh, I get it now. And then they were naked, and I got all excited, and then they were gone, and never came back.
Yeah, you see nudity for about 2 seconds in this movie, so, like, parents, if you take your kid to see this movie, which, shame on you, but,
you'll be fine, the kid won't remember it.
Yeah, either the kid won't remember it, or all you literally have to do is, like, cover their eyes for like
A second.
5 seconds.
Not
and,
even. There
yeah.
was not even 5 seconds of nudity, man. Not even. And I'm not one to be like, oh, you need to have nudity in the movie. But if you are gonna have a moment which is just purely to revel in how sexy these women are, like, actually do that.
Oh, but women are objectified. You can't do
They're
that.
hot. Whatever. They were hot. But, then, you know, you get to the point where it's the actual interview, you know, the whole climax of the story where all this, like, everything was leading towards. And
You got fake
literally,
grapefruits.
oh, the fake grapefruits thing. How many times
Fake
did
grapefruits.
How many times did he bring up the fake grapefruits, though?
That you get hooked on certain parts of things.
Because it
That
wasn't
makes
funny.
sense. No, but you'll make a point sometime and you'll be like, oh, but this, like, you know, with Transformers, you're like, oh, the dinosaurs.
Okay.
You know, so
But,
I can see how he would, like, get wrapped up with the grapefruits.
Okay, that's true. I can see that. But, you know, we get to the interview, and once the interview, like, seriously, they say 2 lines of serious dialogue,
Yeah,
and actually makes it look like there's going to be a serious conversation, and then they have a silly action scene in front of the whole conversation going on, and we miss it.
Then Seth Rogan gets his finger bit off, and
He's like 2 of his fingers bit off.
oh yeah, and then he like bites off. He bites off.
The other dude's fingers.
Yeah, and
like with as much money as that went into this film, I'm gonna say that they intentionally tried to make the effects look bad, like for comedic effects, which I don't have a problem with, but I think that that's the case.
I actually thought that scene was pretty gory. Like,
It was
pretty
gory,
shockingly gory.
It was gory, but like the finger effects were pretty bad. But
Well-
also the Kim Jung Un space thing.
Well, I comedic.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. I think it was all done for the comedic effect.
Yeah. Also, the actor who played Kim Jung Un, I thought he was pretty good.
He was awesome. He was a great freaking Kim Jong Un. He was awesome.
Yeah.
He was great. It was a great performance on his part.
And-
He was kind of like he was the best performance in the movie, I thought. He was awesome.
Yeah.
I liked him. He was cool.
Yeah, I mean, he had the range and stuff like that. So I hope that we see him. I hope that we see him again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to make anything making fun of North Korea in the future.
Well, I mean, maybe he can get another job, not as Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But he was cool. He did have the range, like you said, where he was really funny, but he could also be really serious and
Yeah.
still be funny at the same time. So I liked him. He was cool.
Other than Harold from the Harold and Kumar movies, like, can you name another Asian American actor that, like, isn't, like, George Takei or, you know, something like that? Actor,
right,
not
do you mean
actress.
just- no, I know what you mean, but do you mean
Yeah.
actor or do you mean like comedic actor?
Comedic actor.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was gonna
can't
say.
even-
I can name a bunch of actors, but I don't think I
Well-
can really name comedians.
I mean, I can name comedians. I just can't name comedic actors.
Right.
Like Dat Fan.
What was he in?
He was on SNL.
Oh,
Wait, no, he wasn't on SNL, but he did some stand up that was pretty funny. And then Bobby Lee was on Mad TV,
right.
and he almost always cross dressed as like some Asian woman.
Yeah, that's not quite as big of a thing with Asian American men in Hollywood. I think you're right. Okay, so I mean, overall, I was just disappointed because I thought that the movie showed more potential than it actually delivered. Not like my expectations going into it.
Yeah, I think you went in with way too high of
I
expectations.
really didn't, though. I really just expected a story. I've seen Seth Rogen's movies. I knew what to expect.
What, were you expecting, like, Pineapple Express or something?
Or like even like Zack and Miri make a porno or something like that.
Well, that's more of a Kevin Smith movie.
No,
than
I know
Seth
it is,
Rogen.
but I mean like that quality. That's what I was expecting.
Okay.
That's all I was expecting. But there were certain points
And
in
you
this
didn't
movie
feel
where
that
got
movie
better.
got there?
No, it's just like there were certain points in the movie where it seemed like the movie was going to be better than it actually delivered on. Like, it's one thing if the movie is a certain quality, but it's different when it shows me that it could be better, and like the people involved knew it.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. It kind of felt like it wasn't the movie that it wanted to be. Because the humor at the beginning was really on the nose and really funny, and then they just sort of devolved into something else.
Yeah, it kind of felt lazy as the film progressed.
Yeah, that's how I felt. It just kind of felt like the humor got lazier as it went. Like, the middle part even, too, was fine.
Yeah.
But...
And I kind of knew where the film was going because before the film was released, a whole bunch of stuff, like random stuff of the movie got released, like when the movie wasn't going to come out because, oh my god, Kim Jung Un was killed in the movie. That GIF just popped up everywhere on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
His death scene.
Right.
So, that happened.
Right.
This is not the first movie to have an assassination of a character that didn't die that way.
Well, that's true. What do you think of the idea of, like, they could have done a satire of North Korea without naming names?
I personally like the fact that they just had the balls to do it. I just, me personally, I wish that they could have gone further, but I was satisfied with what I got. You were not.
No, because they did go further at times. They showed me that they could have, and then they didn't. That's why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't... It's hard to say, though, when it comes to people, like, who are still alive and in the world today, sort of thing, instead of after they're gone.
I don't know, I mean, in the United States, we can make fun of certain people.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I was all in support of every kind of satire of George W. Bush when that whole thing was going on. Like,
yeah.
I was all about fucking criticizing George W. Bush. But, and this doesn't feel that different. That's why it didn't really bother me, as far as I'm concerned, that they did have Kim Jung Un as Kim Jung Un and not some other figure. I was happy with that decision. I was fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kim Jung Un is a character. Yes, he's a real person, but he is a character that needs to be made fun of. I mean, the whole thing about him not peeing or pooping is actually a real thing. That's not something the movie made up.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to be the whole point of satire, is to bring certain truths out
right.
into the open where you can see it.
And I agree with you to a certain point that, like, the movie, being what it was, needed to be more on the nose satire. It needed to be smarter.
Yeah.
But, I did kind of know what I was getting into and knew that it wasn't going to be that film.
Right, and it would have been one thing if, like, they just did that, but they showed me that they were smarter.
Yeah, and
than what they did.
And going back to the actual interview, Casey and I both agree that they should have stopped the movie at that point. Just had a one-on-one talk.
Yeah.
And the fact that they kept on cutting away to the North Koreans trying to stop the broadcast and the fight that ensued because of that really detracted from the hard-hitting moments that you got glimpses of, but either they weren't smart enough to actually write a full script to that dialogue, or whether they just thought, let's have a fight scene because it's funny. I mean, they could have done it afterwards, like a delay or something like that. Like, you could have found out later all this shit happened to Seth Rogan while that was going on. Or he could have explained it and then showed the scene.
Right.
Anything that could have just had the interview would have been better in my books.
Yeah, and that's exactly what my feeling was towards the movie. Like, that's what I've been trying to describe, is that feeling.
Yeah, well, you're describing an upsetment for an entire movie based on one scene.
No, that scene is where I really checked out, but I kind of had that feeling throughout when they showed me glimpses that were smarter than the rest of the movie. But, yeah, that scene I really checked out, because they literally said exactly one line of dialogue that portrayed American government in a negative light, and immediately they stopped.
Yeah,
and
it was
didn't go
like,
any further.
well, why is it in America? You have the highest number of incarcerated citizens.
Yeah, that was the one line that they said. And
Yeah.
that's exactly when they cut off.
Yeah, and he asked that question about, well, why don't you feed your people? Now, the reason why Kim Jung Un didn't respond, like, makes perfect sense.
Right.
Because, like, of course, he couldn't respond to that. And, like, I did kind of want to see that breakdown on screen.
Right.
Because I'm sure the actor had to get there. And you saw glimpses of it, but the movie just needed to stop for that part, you know, just needed to slow down and actually have a real moment.
Exactly.
Overall, like, based on the film that we actually got, I'm kind of, I mean, even though I enjoyed it, I'm kind of disappointed that, like, all this effort went to a film that really isn't that ballsy.
No, it's not. But I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like, I would.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to get. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the Steve Carell movie, whatever that movie was.
Right.
If any of you know what that movie was called and are able to find the script, please send it in the comments because I would love to read it.
Right. All right. Well, this has been All Walks of Film signing off.